Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to be looking at the weekly meta breakdown for standard best of one. So those of you who are new to the channel, each week we look at the best performing decks on the MTG Arena ladder. This video, like I said, standard best of one. If you're looking for best of three, and we'll get to historic and explore videos now that the Explorer Anthology dropped. We try to release these once a week, and we get all the data that you see on the screen from UntappedGG, companion tool, tracks win rates, loss rates, whole bunch of cool statistics and stuff, in-game overlays and features. Free to use a whole bunch of it. Link is in the video description, but I'll paste these deck lists as well inside, so you can copy and paste them into the Arena client. So we're looking at December 10th through the 17th. Diamond to Mythic, so we're looking towards the top of the rank ladder. We have 88,000 matches of Magic the Gathering played. And this Mono White Soldiers deck looks pretty legit. 70% win rate, which is one of the higher ones that I've seen in Standard in some time. 100 match sample size. So this version of Mono White is looking to play Laydown Arms. So that's the payoff of going Mono White versus Blue White. Blue White, you get some of the card draw abilities and the Mana Sink lands. This version here, not even playing the creature land, Mishra's Foundry, just going straight, maximizing planes. Payoff on white on the top end, you got Myrel, Shield of Argive, lets you create a bunch of soldier tokens as you kind of cast more creatures and you attack with it. Also has the Grand Abolisher style effect for those familiar with that card, but basically prevents your opponent from doing stuff while it's your turn. Really good into stuff like Wandering Emperor, for example, counter spells, removal, anything of that nature. The rest of the deck, you got 1-drops in Recruitment Officer that can give you card advantage, Yodian Frontliner, which can come back from the graveyard. Guardian of Nubenalia is a way to kind of chuck your cards that you don't need and give it indestructible. You can also enlist it to get some scry ability and added power. Thalia to tax your opponent for strike can come up relevant in creature combat. Valiant Veteran is a Lord effect that can then put more power into the board from your graveyard. You have Brutal Cathar's removal, Siege Veteran as a way to pump your team, and also insulates from incidental damage. And then you have Kyla's Reconstruction, basically collected company style effect in white, so it lets you dig for cards in your graveyard, or cards in your library, put them into play, and kind of pair it up with that. So very aggressively slanted mono white deck. And then from mono white, we go to Blue White Soldiers, which is about 6.5% lower win rate. So you see a lot of the commonalities: Recruitment Officer, Yodian, Valiant, Thalia, the Cathars, Siege Veterans. But in Blue White, you get access to Sky Strike Officer, which lets you draw cards. And when it attacks, lets you create soldiers, so kind of an engine on its own. Think of it like all those kind of 3-mana goblins that make more goblins. Really a must-answer threat, otherwise it lets you snowball and just accrue a lot of card advantage. You also have Recruitment Officer, lets you get some value there with it giving you 2 creatures at flash speed. You also have Harbin, Vanguard, Aviator as another way to get a huge bonus for attacking with a bunch of creatures in your deck. Then we have, like I said, the Brutal Cathar. This one's playing also in the Trenches as a way to give an added bonus there as well and give you some removal. This version is playing Secluded Courtyard to fix your mana, 40 in Beachhead, and Mishra's Foundry as well. Then we go to Grixis Midrange, which is a deck we don't see that often in Best of 1. It's very good in Best of 3, but Best of 1, it's hard to have all the answers where you would have it in your sideboard. This version's a little bit of an older style version where we're still seeing the Evelyn and Solkanar top-end package, card advantage, whole bunch of abilities stacked on to your 5-mana spells. You also have Blade Coil Serpent, 6 mana plus, that gives you a whole bunch of effects when it enters the battlefield. Your usual Shieldred, Corpse Praiser, Fable, Mirror Breaker kind of package. It's going for 10 pieces of removal plus the Blood Tithe, which is actually extra removal, plays really nice with Fable. So your card advantage engine and Corpse Praiser and Reckoner Bankbuster, and then Make Disappear is kind of scattered in there. An assortment of dual lands in the mana base. We then have Mono Red Burn, 61% win rate. It's a very aggressively slanted deck. Your payoff is kind of Mechanized Warfare, which makes all your red spells and artifacts deal an additional point of damage. And what you're trying to do is like one-sided board wipes within the festivities to kind of scale and deal more damage. Kumano deals 2, Swiftspear, just lots of 1-drops, some burn in like Lightning Strike and Play with Fire. Reckless Impulse gives you card advantage along with the Chandra. and then squeeze a recurable source from the graveyard. Your curve's very low, and then you have only 22 lands in this particular deck as well. And then we have Mono Blue Tempo. So this is a very budget-friendly deck. It's about 58% win rate. So if you're looking to just get into the format, looking to just play some standard, relatively cheap, this deck is only 4 rares. I would suggest spend 1 more rare, get an Otawara, the channel land, put it in the mana base. It's basically a spell that's in your mana base. But the core of this deck, while it is very budget-friendly, Mono Blue tends to be a little bit trickier to pilot. Now, there's going to be times when you're on the play and you're just counter, 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 here's my Hawadi Jin, I win. But playing from behind, how to interact, what to counter, what not to counter, how to kind of navigate those lines, does take a bit of practice. So don't get discouraged at first if it's a little bit trickier of a deck to play. But the core of the deck is trying to counter and control your opponent's plans while they're still on the stack as opposed to resolving. And then you have stuff like Hawadi Jin that can close the game really quick, and Tolarian Terror, which costs as little as 1 mana. You have things like Consider It that just cycle itself, that give you power and reduction. Fading Hope for basically the only bounce in the deck. Other cards you can play, like Slip Out the Back's not included, but that's usually a fairly common card in here. But you have a bunch of counters like Negate, Spell Pierce, Make Disappear, Essence Scatter, Impulse, Thirst for Discovery, or Card Selection, Card Draw, and then you also have Flow of Knowledge on the top end that draws you a bunch of cards as well. And then lastly, an interesting Esper control deck, 58% win rate. So this is basically a kill everything, win through Planeswalkers deck. So how are we killing things? Cut Down, March, Destroy Evil, Go for the Throat. Sunset Revelry is a cool card because it gives you some life, gives some blockers early, can give you some card advantage. Void Rend cleans up everything. You have a couple counters, a Negate, 3 Dissipates. You have Depopulate and Farewell of Sweepers, and then you win either with like Teferi, Sorin, or the Wandering Emperor. No creature lines, yeah. So you're winning with one of these 7 Planeswalkers, or a Bankbuster if it could kind of get... You can kind of take control of it. There's a cool interaction with Bankbuster and Teferi. At instant speed, you could put more counters on it. So Teferi is a hard to kill threat for stuff like just general creature based if you're dealing damage to Teferi, as opposed to something like Void Rend, which would just clean it up really nicely. So that's an interesting control deck. We haven't seen too many control decks in the best of 1 format, but White has kind of the best sweepers right now. Farewell's still one of the better ones. You also have like Celestis in here, which can gain you life, filter your draws, and kind of ramp you up a little bit quicker to potentially turn 5 Farewell, which would help out in that format as well. So in any case, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll be back with some more videos throughout the week. If you are looking for Explorer content in the meantime, I've been putting out best of 3 content, going over a bunch of new decks with a bunch of Explorer Anthology cards, like 30-minute to hour-long videos, playing a bunch of games, demoing it, trying out stuff. So check that out. Greatly appreciate it if you can on this video and any of the other videos you tune into. Drop a like, drop a comment. It's free and helps out the channel. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. In any case, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you have a great one, and stay safe out there.